was 2000 we bought the business. It was the back end of the Melbourne City Link. Probably the business size was around a $5 million business, revenue-wise. And we were very fortunate to get a lot of work in that Burnley Tunnel. And I think we did about $20 million worth of work in 9 months. From there on, it was probably about fear of failure more than anything else, of really wanting to just go out there, find opportunities, work out what we could do. We started to take on more scope on projects where we would traditionally have been a subcontractor. And then we started to look at buying some other businesses, and probably the most important move we then made from a transaction point of view was in 2002, where we bought a small business called Coleman Rail. It was a very small transaction. Business was probably only about a $2 million business, but we saw the opportunity to move into the rail market. The next transaction we did was buying out the mechanical engineering business, John Beaver Australia. The reason I think we then got serious about talking with Carnegie Wiley at the time was firstly because they were prepared to take a minority stake of about 20%, and so they were more aligned to backing in with our plan to grow the company, whereas most of the other investment funds wanted to take a majority or stake or the whole ownership. They were also happy that we were taking the money off the table, because we were not, the business never needed funds. Like after we'd paid out the original vendor funding from Jerry and Jeff, the business was cash flow positive, we were paying out a reasonable amount of dividends, but this step allowed us to actually take some money off the table and probably put some of that normal private company ownership risk of your houses and stuff to one side. But I think the most important ingredient as to why we made that final decision, other than feeling it was the right partner with the right equity and the right money, was because my view was that it was really important as we grow to disassociate ourselves from being the business. I feel that a lot of private companies, the owners are the business, and their names are often on the door. Ours wasn't, which I think has been a good thing. And to take a more dispassionate view about the business, to bring in a board and be part of a board that was professional, and to see your shareholding as a shareholding rather than being you and actually one and the same thing. That philosophy, I think, was really important to drive us to another level. I think in the first instance, Carnegie Wiley themselves were also respectful of where we were as a business. They didn't try and impose governance structures and processes that were appropriate for a $300 million business when we were only a $50 million business. They always had top quality directors without trying to interfere with day-to-day activities. We would have day-long board meetings, really delve into the detail of what was going on, once a month, as a board should, but then step away and let us as managers run the business. But the necessity to actually talk about the bad stuff, not just the good, and put it on the table, because it's just so easy not to discuss the hard stuff. And I suspect there's a lot of businesses out there who fall into that trap of the tyranny of optimism. We didn't set out to say, yes, we want to sell this. What we did set out to do was say, we're genuine about exploring the opportunities, exploring who's out there, and because we certainly felt that it was our responsibility to Tanara and other shareholders to do that and to explore those options. So it really wasn't until we had genuine bids on the table that we started to say, yep, this is starting to make sense. I see enormous opportunity, and it is a business that is very much part of its core is research and development and exploring what can be done next. Incredible worldwide presence, so I see the opportunity and the engagement that we get is first class. In some respects, I've got the best of both worlds. We've taken a good value for majority of our business, but we've got a significant equity component, which really means I'm heavily engaged in the future, and a great environment to work in to actually take advantage of that and really see if we can make that difference. Absolutely explore it and explore who those people are. Most of the time, it's about the people that you're interacting with, and you need to be aligned personally. And what works for me won't work for the next business. What works for them won't work for me. So it's very important to get that harmonious environment. Explore what's out there. It's not always just about who's the highest bidder for that. I mean, we could have got a higher valuation and sold out 51% when we sold out 20%. So that was a more important aspect of it than the actual dollar figure to us at that time. And think about the motives and what's going to make a difference. And for us, having that psychology of having external investors is no doubt in my mind that was the most important reason for us to grow. If we had stayed in our private business and not have a partner, we would have grown. Let's say we got to $100 million and we're making $10 million profit and throwing off great dividends, good cash positive. I often wonder, would I have been motivated to keep going and go to another level? Because it becomes pretty comfortable. And I think a lot of private companies get like that and they then sort of become static and then perhaps drop off. So I do believe it was the right thing to do, and I doubt whether we would have achieved what we have if we hadn't have done that move.